Let's talk about list comprehensions. What are they? When can they be useful? And let's see an example. So list comprehensions are essentially a more concise way to write a for loop, if you will. You don't have to do multiple lines. You can effectively do this in one line, and it's more concise, it's more readable, it's more it's shorter. One caveat to think about, though, is that sometimes it's not 100% more readable. So it's up to you to determine what makes the most sense. But regardless, we'll go over them, and you can at least put them on your tool belt, and you apply the list comprehensions when you think they are best. So let's go through a for loop. Using a for loop, we want to square some items. Well, what are we going to do? We're going to do for each number in the range to from 0 to 5, not including 5, right? It's not including the 5, so it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go ahead and append to this squares list. Let's append the number, which is going to be 0 to begin with, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Let's square that, right? So 0 squared, 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, and 4 squared. That's what this is going to do. This is simple enough. I know, I get it. This is simple enough, and it's only, a few lines, right? So it's okay. But look how we could do this in one line, right? What can we do? Well, first of all, this is a list comprehension. So a list comprehension has a bracket, right? Opens up with the left bracket, and it closes with the right bracket. That's a list comprehension. And then, just like the comment here, is we're going to have an expression, a for loop, and an optional if condition. So the expression is mandatory. The for loop is at least one, and you can have more than one. You can have nested for loops. But you do have this if condition, and this is optional. In this case, you see that we don't have an if condition here, so that's optional. And we'll add one for fun, why not? But the if condition is optional. So here we're going to say, hey, let's square the num. For which nums? Well, for the nums in the range of 0 to 5, not including 5. And so if we ran this, we would see that they would return the same values, 0, 1, 4, 9, and 16. This is great. This shows that this code and this one-liner are effectively the same thing. They do exactly the same computation, and we get exactly the same result. Now, just to bring in this if condition, which is an optional condition, let's bring it in here just to show that we can do this. Let's say that we want from this list maybe just the even ones, right? So even meaning let's get rid of the 1 and the 9. So we have 1, 4, and 16. What we can do is we can say an if statement here that says if num squared, it's not equal to num squared divided by modulus 2 does not equal 1. That means that let's get rid of the odd ones. The odd ones will be will have a remainder of 1. We know what the modulus does, which is divide this number by 2, and it just takes the remainder. So let's run this and let's see what happens. If we run it, we see that we did get rid of the odd ones, right? The odd one being 1 and 9. And we only did this for the list comprehension, not for the for loop. So just to show you that that is the different pieces of the list comprehension, which is an expression, a for statement, a for loop, if you will, and an if condition, which is optional, as we saw.